Greetings, everybody. I am the Bard of Shale, and I welcome you to the Countdown Depot. Here, I take a look at various topics and present 10 examples of each one. And in honor of my dad's birthday, I intend to do a countdown of 10 wise characters from fictional media. And starting with number 10, in keeping with the theme of this setting, we have Edward from the Thomas and Friends series. Now, you might be thinking, why would I put this here? Well, Thomas was a favorite show of mine when I was a little kid, and Edward was the wisest of the bunch, also being the oldest engine in the group. He would always know how to deal with the various egocentricities of the various characters like James and Gordon, often them giving him warnings of what such brash behavior would get them into. And believe me, he was right about everything. Moving on from uh, Sodor to the United Kingdom, in London, 221B Baker Street to be exact, we have Sherlock Holmes. Now, the world's most famous detective is one of the wisest people, also the smartest. And you may be wondering, what's the difference between wise and smart? Well, wise is knowledge gained from experience. Being smart is gaining wisdom from learning. And Sherlock Holmes has done both. I mean, he knows a lot of things that you wouldn't find in any college textbooks in the modern day. And he knows how to apply said knowledge practically in the real world. Although he doesn't really have much knowledge about social interaction, a sentiment which I unfortunately can relate to. For number 8, we have Sensei Wu from the Ninjago series. Now, you might find it stereotypical that a monk or sensei would be on this list, but Sensei Wu really does deserve his position here. He knows various martial arts, has wisdom about how the world works, and knows a lot about the truths behind old legends. Although he kinda lets his age get to him as time goes on because his students are becoming more and more self-reliant and he's thinking he's fading out of the picture. But in truth, every superhero team needs some sort of wise mentor around, and it wouldn't really be the same without him. Speaking of martial arts masters, coming into number 7, we have the Jedi from Star Wars. Now, I know it may be cheating to put multiple ones on this list or listing them as a whole, but in truth, I couldn't really single out one individual. I mean, top mentions for Yoda, Obi-Wan, and Ahsoka, as the point of being a Jedi is to learn from the world, experience the Force, and let it guide you. Let it shape you into a person with a greater understanding, but not waver to the dark side. Naturally, with all the stuff that's happened, the Jedi have gained greater experience and greater insight by using the Force to their advantage. But it's also how they were forced to fight that gained them even more experience in the world, or worlds, as it may be. Moving back to Earth with another master of martial arts, Master Splinter from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Now, the overall concept of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is silly. I mean, a mutagenic canister quickly mutating for the turtles and a rat might be considered, well, silly if you tend to follow real world physics and such. But make no joke, this rat is one who will not only bite, but also kick, punch, and pressure point you into submission. He knows a lot about the ancient ninjutsu arts, ancient legends, how things work, and you gotta be a wise person and have a sense of humor to deal with raising four teenage boys. For number five, going old school, we got Quentin McHale from McHale's Navy. Now, this guy has learned from military and ocean going experience. He is a jolly but sometimes strict commander of a PT boat, and he often uses most of his smarts to get himself and his crew out of situations that their, well, egocentric captain or commanding officer puts them into. Most of the time, it's the crew getting themselves into their own jams, and it's his job to help figure a way out. But considering the fact that he uses a lot of clever tactics, at least he knows how to uh, break a fellow crew member out of jail. For this, for number four, we have Dr. Quincy. Now, Dr. Quincy is a coroner, and well, you could argue that he's more smart than wise, but he knows how to read between the lines. He knows what to specifically look for, as he comes across a lot of people who have died under strange circumstances that you just don't find commonly in most medical books. What sets him apart is he's wise enough to know that something different is going on. He's wise enough to sense that there is more than just a simple death whenever he investigates a case. And believe you me, when he rants, better listen. For number three, we'll be diving deep into much more mystical waters with the Sea Emperor Leviathan. Now, the Sea Emperor is a highly intelligent creature on planet 4546b, the main location of the Subnautica series. Now, after a bunch of alien researchers, their laboratory was destroyed by a sea dragon leviathan, which caused the bacterium they were studying to spread out into the planet's waters, causing almost all life on it to die. Their hope remained with the special enzyme produced by the sea emperor species. However, the adult leviathan, the only adult left of its kind, couldn't produce too much, and unfortunately, their minds could not hear its psychic uh, messages, which the Emperor had the solution to everything. But since it was trapped in their research facility, even after all the years that they died, the alien race known as the Precursors died out. Using its using its manipulation of sea creatures, it managed to spread what little enzyme it could produce out into the main crater. And when it sensed the survivor of the Aurora crash, it managed to get the player character down into its lair, where the player managed to help set her young ones free. You can just tell by her psychic abilities and her manner of speaking that this thousand-year-old entity has seen a lot, learned a lot, and in the next life will probably continue that pilgrimage. Number two, we have the funny man sans the skeleton. Well, funny bone, to be precise, as while this lazy, uh, resident of the underground, spends most of his time grilling up hot dogs at his cart or pestering his brother Papyrus with his never ending terrible puns. This guy has more insight than you would think. I mean, after all, he is a good judge of character, a really good judge of character, an arbiter, if you will. No matter how many times the player resets the game, he knows exactly what you did and knows whether or not your intentions are good, evil, or, in the course of the game, neutral. But if he knows that you're going to free the monsters or slay them all, don't underestimate a guy who can see through time and space. And finally, number one, we have Detective Columbo. Now, Detective Columbo is a rather interesting one to be sure. He's not exactly as intelligent as Sherlock Holmes, but what puts him on the number one spot is his ability to read people. He has had experience with many different kinds of folks in his line of detective work, and when he investigates a crime scene, out of all the available suspects, usually the one with the best motive is the one who does it. But I mean, we know who does it too at the beginning of the episodes. But we always get the sense that he knows who did it before the police, and we know that he is right. But what's interesting is his methodology in forcing the suspects to confess to their crimes. I mean, one would have to be very wise in the way of people. And that just goes to show you wisdom can take many forms, just as many people can take many forms who learn said wisdom. And thanks for watching, and happy birthday, Dad. I dedicate this video to you. I think you are a pretty wise person, and although sometimes your life lessons have been a bit rough, I appreciate them. Art of Shale, signing out.